This is one of the many short videos that we've produced to help you modify the ready-made layouts and replace the dummy content with your own words and pictures. Now, of all the videos in the series, I think this one is the most important. You know, getting your images to look good is critical. A great website with rubbish images just looks amateurish. And in this video, I'm going to show you how to make your images look perfect. So let's get going. In this tutorial, we're going to edit one of the ready-made pages. So if we flick to our web pages list, choose a page that's already empty, choose one of the pre-designed pages, and in this case I'm going to choose one of the home pages, scroll down, and there's a nice example here which has an image which is rectangular, one that's square, and one that's circular. Some have shadow, some have borders around it. So if I click on it, it opens up in a demo window, and we're going to go straight in and start editing this layout. So let's start by replacing this horizontal rectangular image. As you see, that it's got rounded corners and it's got drop shadow. So we click once on the image, and then we click once on the red image icon at the top of the editor bar. Now, clicking the image icon opens up the dialog window, and you can see a sort of representation of the image there. We click insert image, and then we click open library and your library. Now in this case we want to replace that with a nice image here, but the first thing I want to show you, and probably the most important, is that there is a width. If I just move this window over away from there, you'll see that this image here has a width and a height. It's got a width of 630 pixels and a height of 315 pixels. This is really important to get your head around, because what we need to do is try to make our other image close to that image size as possible. So back to this image, and now what we're going to do is we're going to click insert image as thumbnail. Now essentially what we're going to do is we're going to make a smaller version of this, but we're going to make it 630 pixels wide. So we're going to click on 630 in here, 630, and click on make a custom thumbnail. Well, now what that's done is it's created a nice sized copy of the original image, and if we click OK, that image is then instantly placed in that area. Now one thing I'll say about this image is that it's not exactly the same proportion, and that's just a feature of the image that we've chosen. So essentially what we could do here is place a lot more text down the side and just make it look, you know, nicer and neater and more balanced, or indeed we can you know, shrink the image using the image tools. But one thing you'll notice straight away is that the rounded corners and the drop shadow is instantly applied to the image that we've chosen. Now let's replace the circular image. So once again we click on the image and we click on the red image icon. We click insert image, we choose open library, your library, and now we're going to choose another image. In this case we're going to choose a, let's have a look, a camel. So this camel isn't square, obviously. The reason I'm mentioning this is that to make an image circular, it must be square. So we're going to have to find a way of making this image square. Fortunately, that's kind of easy. Again, we click on the insert image as small thumbnail, and we click on make the image square. But once again, we've got to know how big that original image is. So if we move this across, we'll see that the original image, here it is, was 150 by 150. So if we go back to this window, we've got to make the image square, but we've also got to make the custom size 150 pixels. So if we then click that button, we'll see that we now have a square version of that image. Click OK, and it's applied. And the circular formatting is also applied to that image. So now we've got the picture of the camel, and we've got it nice and circular. So now if we're going to replace this square image with the border, but in this case we actually want a square image, but let's say we want a little bit of drop shadow on there. So let's see how we do that. As you can imagine, we click once on the image, once on the red image button, we click on the insert image, we then move across and we click on the open a library, your library, and now this time we want to place a lovely picture of two people dancing. So now we click insert image as thumbnail once more. We know that that picture's got to be 300 by 300, there it is. So we click make the image square, 300 pixels, and click on make custom thumbnail. And there we go. And if we click OK, we'll see that that's in place beautifully inside that square image. However, we want to make this with drop shadow, not with a border. So we click once on the picture, and then we move over and we use this drop down here. Now this has all kinds of context sensitive menu items. In other words, it understands what you've just clicked and it gives you appropriate menu items. So if we scroll to the bottom, we'll see lots of options which start IMG, which is short for image. And if we choose, and you can see that one of them is already clicked, which is IMG border, and there's a nice little grey indicator around that, and sure enough that's the border that we can see there. Now if we change that and we click on image shadow, straight away you can see the change happen, and that's all there is to it. There's lots of different options you can choose. So if we go back and we look at some more, you've got image circular, we can make it nice and circular. You've got image circular with shading, so it puts a little bit of drop shadow on there as well as the image you can see around the outside. And there's lots of things like that you can do with a single click. But remember, first of all, you've got to click once on the image. So if we save this now, if we scroll up and save this, these edits, here's what's happened. Our image has now been replaced. Beautiful layout. The image of the guy and the girl is there. The camel, and a nice little image at the bottom. Now one thing I'll show you is as you roll over each of these images, there's a behavior. And this behavior indicates to the user that when they click it, something's going to happen. Sure enough, when you click it, it opens a full-size image. Now one thing I want to explain is that when we chose an image from the library, we chose to make a copy of that original image, a copy that was smaller and that was readily sized for the image that we're trying to replace. Now the original image was then automatically added as a link from that smaller image. So as we roll over that image, it indicates, hey look, if you click here something's going to happen. And sure enough, on all the images that we've created a smaller version of, it opens up into a larger image. A really cool feature. And that just about covers it. There are a few other bits and pieces that I'll cover in a later video about maybe tweaking images even more, but that's the basics. If you can follow and apply these tips and these rules when you're inserting images and overriding the standard images that are there, you'll have a lot of success in converting your template layouts into something that's just what you want. Hopefully that's helped, and thank you very much for watching. Please make sure you watch the other videos in this series.